Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix. Welcome back to another mod guide video. This time we're covering Shin Hati, one of the new mercenary characters under the new leader Balin Skoll. I just covered him in the last video. I will be referring back to his kit at several points, I'm sure. If you haven't seen that one yet, please do. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into the TLDR for Shin Hati. Set types should be offense with a 2-piece of health or potency. I prefer health if I can. Arrow should be, in my opinion, there's a priority here. Crit avoidance better than fast offense, better than speed. You'll see why for the crit avoidance. I would recommend strong percent offense secondary and then speed after that on the crit avoidance arrow. It's nice to have it all, but that can be tough to come by. You really do want a lot of offense on this character, so it's not enough that it's just crit avoidance. You want to try and farm for the right thing. If you don't have that, the fast offense would be the next best way to go. You know, really good and fast, like 27, 28, like that, and on up. Flat offense on that would be amazing. And yeah, that's about it. As far as a speed arrow would go, we would want to have strong percent offense secondary. All right, circle should be health. Triangle should be crit damage. And cross will very obviously prefer to be offense, but if you can get it, if you can farm for one, a potency cross with a strong percent offense secondary and decent speed, I think is really the way to go. And we'll see why in a little bit. Turn order, in terms of modded speed, should be second, immediately behind Balin Skoll. There is some turn meter involved sometimes for Marok, but in terms of modded speed, she'll be number 2. Stat priority should be offense, greater than speed, greater than potency, although I struggled with where to place potency. I think that having her have a ton of offense and speed feels like the objectively best thing. But getting her up to about 100% potency, I think will have rewards, really have some benefits. If you get her up to about 100, I wouldn't make any particular effort to stack more. Okay, and as always, before I dig into a character's kit, I always like to review how the leadership may affect the modding. I really didn't put together a little breakdown text file on Balin Skoll's leadership. It's all inevitable, because there isn't a ton he's doing for the allies in terms of things that you need to consider for their mods. At the battle start, all mercenary allies gain 20% tenacity and 1 stack of Soldier of Fortune for each active mercenary ally. Then mercenary allies double their current stacks of Soldier of Fortune. So basically for any of these mercenary characters that have effects that kick in at certain numbers of stacks, you're going to be starting with most or all of that at battle start under Balin. Other than that, the rest of this kit is full of callouts that either counter specific high-level kits or give different conditional benefits depending on what an opposing team does to Balin. I don't really think that feeds too much into how you mod his allies, because you're not planning for people choosing to take disadvantageous teams against you. So yeah, that covers it, I think. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Shin's kit. Let's start with her version of Soldier of Fortune. Whenever Shin Hati scores a critical hit or attacks out of turn, she gains 1 stack of Soldier of Fortune. Whenever Shin Hati is critically hit, she loses 1 stack of Soldier of Fortune. At the start of battle, Shin Hati gains 1 stack of Soldier of Fortune per relic amplifier level she has until the end of battle. At the start of each mercenary ally's turn, they gain 5% crit chance and crit damage stacking for each stack of Soldier of Fortune they have until the start of their next turn. So yeah, a lot going on in this one. First, you see that she will lose a stack of Soldier of Fortune whenever she's critically hit. That is a reason, to consider crit avoidance. All right. Let's see. The other thing is, yeah, at the start of each mercenary ally's turn, more crit chance, more crit damage, just going to help them slap harder. It's nice. Next unique, you have no power. At the start of each encounter, Shin Hati gains 25% accuracy and 50% offense until the end of the encounter, and she ignores taunt effects during her turn. So that right there justifies our offense set. That justifies our preference for offense primary, strong offense secondaries, all of it. She's just going to be huge with this kind of offense, all right? Whenever Shin Hati is critically hit, she gains retribution for 2 turns and 150 speed for 1 turn. So, you're thinking, oh, Tass, well, you're recommending the crit avoidance arrow, but that seems like it's pretty good if she gets critically hit. And I say, okay, hear me out. I think it's better for her to not get critically hit. Just in general, because she is an attacker, we don't want her to get bopped out. But what the kid is saying is, okay, there's ways to take advantage of crit avoidance in her kit, but if you do get critically hit, you're still leaving with something. So it's okay. The first time Shin Hati gains 10 or more stacks of Soldier of Fortune, she gains the granted ability, Clean Escape, for the rest of the battle. If Shin Hati has less than 10 stacks of Soldier of Fortune, Clean Escape can't be used. So you do want to remember about having that 10 or less, you can't use this skill. But otherwise, under Balin's lead, she will absolutely have enough to have this granted ability on her first turn. So if you wanted to use it, you could. The effect itself, Clean Escape, is defined as effects are based on the number of Shin Hati's stacks of Soldier of Fortune. At 10 plus stacks, she dispels all her debuffs and gains 30% max health until the end of the encounter. All non-tank allies stealth for 2 turns. At 20 plus stacks, she dispels buffs on the target enemy. Shin Hati gains critical hit immunity and health steal up for 2 turns, and inflicts defense down on all enemies for 2 turns. So these effects could be resisted. I like a bit of potency, for her to be able to land this defense down. That's nice. And 35 plus stacks, all mercenary allies gain foresight and offense up for 2 turns. Shin Hati removes 100% turn meter, and dazes all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be resisted. This suggests to me that both of these effects can't be resisted. No need to worry about a potency check there. And then, of course, I'm not going to really cover this TW Omicron, but it is quite nice for TW. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about her basic. Fierce Foray. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict critical chance down for 1 turn. If Shin Hati has 10 or more stacks of Soldier of Fortune, she inflicts critical chance down on all enemies for 1 turn instead. During Shin Hati's turn, call target other mercenary ally to assist. Pretty nice skill. If the target enemy was stunned, deal 10% more damage per stack of Soldier of Fortune on Shin Hati, max 100%. Yeah. So yeah, you have the utility of an assist call there on basic. And of course, AoE crit chance down. Probably not game breaking in itself, but pretty rare skill. Alright, her first special. I've eyes on them. This is a 4-round cooldown ability. It says deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict them with offense down and vulnerable for 2 turns. So both of those effects can be resisted, a reason to have some potency. Shin Hati gains 10% critical avoidance stacking, maximum of 50%, for the rest of the encounter whenever each of these debuffs are resisted. So, having some potency so that they can apply is nice. If you do get resisted, again, you're leaving with something. You're gaining stacking critical avoidance. Now, if you're starting with a crit avoidance arrow, that's 35% crit avoidance. That's 3.5 benefits of this one ability use. On a 4-round cooldown, you might see this get used twice in a fight, right? So in the best case, you're going to gain, about 20% crit avoidance most of the time, I would expect it, in any given fight, right? So this is where the crit avoidance arrow has the opportunity to shine, and you don't have to rely on this to actually stack you up. Nevertheless, you do get that benefit. All mercenary allies gain 30% protection up for 2 turns. If Shin Hati has 10 or more stacks of Soldier of Fortune, gain 25% turn meter and increase the cooldowns of all enemies by 1. This is another potency check, so it's good. This is probably one of the best skills in the game. It's incredibly overpowered. AoE physical damage, inflicts a couple different debuffs, gives herself stats, stacking stats, protection up for allies. Most of us on this team are going to have health primary circle. Protection up's just going to give us some more longevity. Absolutely love it. And then, to boot, the opportunity, if you have 10 or more stacks of Soldier of Fortune, which is very easy to have under Balin's lead, gain 25% turn meter and increase the cooldowns of all enemies by 1. This skill is bonkers, okay? All right, second special. We'll take it from here. Deal physical damage to target enemy and stun them for 1 turn. Can be resisted, more potency. Shin Hati gains crit damage up and riposte for 2 turns. If Shin Hati has 15 or more stacks of Soldier of Fortune, attack again, always scoring a critical hit if able, and decrease the cooldown of Clean Escape by 1. If Shin Hati is inflicted with Purge, Shin Hati inflicts buff immunity on them for 2 turns. If target enemy is inflicted with Purge, Shin Hati inflicts buff immunity on them for 2 turns and deals 10% bonus damage for each stack of Purge they have, stacking maximum of 60%. So yeah, it's going to be difficult for you to have, I want to say, 6 stacks of Purge on an enemy because Marok is the only member of this team who is going to be applying it. But you get a little something, and if you're mindful about who you're using this on, you can get that little bit extra, the damage and the buff immunity. Again, though, that can be resisted, that buff immunity. So, okay. Let's go ahead now and talk about team comps and turn order. Of course, if you saw the Balin lead video, then for your 3 versus 3 team, shouldn't come as too much of a surprise that for most of the time and for most metas, I expect it's always going to be Balin, Shin, and Marok for the 3. In 5 versus 5, you have a few different options about how to mix and match for these last 2. Hondo has a specific carve-out in Balin's kit that allows the whole team to stack defense. L3 is a great tank that provides a little bit of relief to Balin. If they're otherwise able to get around Balin's taunt, now they have another tank to get choked up on before they can get after your attackers. If you didn't want to go with L3, you might go with Canderous, who can generate a turn meter for the team, I believe. Zalbar and Mission are just another pair of mercenaries that you might have leveled up a long time ago. Reactive Taunt is nice. She's going to have some pretty slapping damage here, so you could consider that as a way to go. But for full details, go back to the Balin video. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the mods themselves. First, I wanted to cover Aesop Rocks. He's got an excellent kit here, so I just wanted to review how this goes. He's got a crit avoidance arrow, very fast. Ideally, I would expect he'd want to have a stronger % offense secondary, but you can see that trying to have it be decently fast so you're not sacrificing too much speed, it's a good priority. Critical damage triangle. Yep, decently fast, strong % offense secondary. Offense primary cross. Now see that his 2-piece is crit chance. He is up over 100% crit chance. I think this character is in the high 80s, like 86, 88%, something like that base. But the idea here is that he wants her to have enough crit chance where she's up over 100 at battle start, no other effects considered. I think her unique, giving her crit chance, in step with her number of stacks of Soldier of Fortune at the start of the battle is probably enough. I wouldn't make any special effort to add crit chance myself, but I can respect where he's coming from. He's a #1 player in the world. You can't really say he's straight up wrong. All right. So, that offense cross, I absolutely understand. It's fast. It's also, adding some survivability. This protection circle is interesting because we know that we stack health. I think this is probably about convenience. If you had to take a protection circle to otherwise have a decently fast, hard-hitting Shin Hati, I could absolutely forgive that. And then, strong % offense here on this diamond, fast speed, and some more crit chance here on the square. So a great kit. You can see that he's 311 speed, got that 200% crit damage, 10,165 offense, and just over 107% crit chance. Strong stuff. You can see that she has 15% native crit avoidance. So with that arrow, you're starting off at 50%, and then it only goes up from there. Nice. All right, Now, let's take a look at mine, the way I have it set up. So, I have the crit avoidance arrow as well. Man, I just need to put some more love into this arrow. I want to try and slice away this protection roll and see if I can get either speed or offense. I might even roll away the potency. It depends. I want to say this thing is already pretty expensive to roll, but you can see why I took it, right? Almost 5% offense on the secondary. It's only 16 speed, but yeah, with the crit avoidance and a little potency to boot, with my strategy, I'm into it. All right, crit avoidance arrow, health 2-piece, health primary circle, and see that potency cross. So I've got 6% offense on it, 23 speed, a little bit of crit chance and tenacity, but 8.5% offense is the value of an offense primary. So being up over 6, I've got the lion's share. And if we take a look at the stat sheet, I'm over 77,000 health, 67,000 prot, 312 speed. I have one more relic level than Aesop does, so that's why it's 213 crit damage instead of 210. But here, you get 30% potency just from having the cross, so you don't really have to go with that 2-piece of potency. If you went a 2-piece of potency with an offense cross, I could understand, because between that, maybe some potency on these other mods through secondaries, you can pick up the meager 35% that you need to basically be at 100% at battle start. And we see there's a lot of benefits to being able to pass a potency tenacity check. You can see here, just incidentally, I picked up a few points of crit chance, and I'm at 93%. And like I said, with her unique feeding her crit chance at the start of every turn, I don't see a lot of value in trying to deliberately stack more. Aside from that, yeah, you just want her to have a ton of offense, just be able to slap people. As far as applications goes for this character, I will refer you back to the Balin video, because I talk about how you can use this character on defense, on offense, under the Balin Skull's lead, and yeah, very effective. Shin and Marok are doing absolutely the most damage on this team. Balin provides control, durability, lots of opportunity to punish the unwary enemy, but Shin and Marok are his workhorses. Now, I hope you can see why. So, thank you for tuning into this one. I'll be along very soon with a video on Marok. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for the very kind comments on YouTube, the DMs on Discord. Really appreciate the warm feedback. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.